All right, well, today is Good Friday, so today's vlog is going to lean a little bit more towards the church side of the things that I do. I'm still trying to figure out, what the audience is like for these videos even. So just, maybe down in the comment section below, let me know, like, where you've caught on from, right? Are you a part of the church here in San Francisco? Are you part of the wider Church of the Nazarene, right? Because that's part of the group that I have. Have you found yourself, on these videos from somewhere else? I'm actually pretty curious to hear, like where everybody's coming from. If you're not from the church and you're watching this, I just want to say welcome to you, right? You have come to see a video that was shot on a day in which the church sets aside the pretenses of knowing all of the answers to faith, right? I get that one of the things that the church is guilty about is that we always act as if we have the right answers. But I want to say to you this, right? That's not actually true. We don't always have the right answers. If nothing else, coronavirus is revealing how the church actually does not have all the answers all the time. What the church does have is a direction that we look towards in all situations. And at times, that can come across and it can feel like we do have an answer for everything. But if I'm honest, a lot of times we are actually just looking in that direction and we are listening, we're waiting for something. And Good Friday is a perfect example of this waiting without actually having the answer. Good Friday, though, is also a great example of how the modern Christian church really can't stand not having all the answers, right? Traditionally, the Good Friday service is a very somber moment, right? Because it concludes with the death of Jesus. And a lot of congregations will hold this kind of service that they call a Tenebrae Service. That's all about, stripping away all of the distractions, all of the noise, right? And in those services, we gradually dim the lights down until there is a single candle that is left as the sole source of light for everything. And the service ends with that candle being extinguished, connecting the worshiper to the reality that with Jesus dead, all hope also appears to be dead. The thing is, in most modern Good Friday services, congregations just aren't good at those sad parts or the hard parts. So we start, in the midst of all of these things, we start reminding people that we actually know how the story ends already, alluding to the hope that's around the corner, right? Now, in my personal opinion, it's kind of like, looking at a book, but flipping to the last page, opening it up, reading it, just so you know how the story ends, Don't be that kind of person. So I've got a few things for you to think about when you think about this day, about Good Friday. First, Good Friday is a spiritual exercise for Christians in listening to the Lord when you don't know where the answer is supposed to come from. If you just jump ahead, you're not exercising a spiritual muscle that needs regular work. So on this day, take time to celebrate the coming of the Lord, because on Good Friday, Jesus dies. Period. And when we begin to come to grips with that reality, we will come to know that Good Friday is really about being humbled. The church, as it was before what's going on right now, wasn't good at being humble. And if you're watching this and you've ever felt like you've been pushed out of a church before, maybe this will resonate with you. But the idea that we would just skip ahead to the good stuff and ignore, or we would push away all of the hard stuff, that has been a part of the identity of the modern church. And that's not really a great thing. Because one of the things that the church can do very well when the church is healthy is to hold on to things that are difficult to address. But if we only want to deal with the good things and we don't really want to deal with things that are hard, we're not going to be very grace-filled when we encounter a situation that doesn't have a quick solution, right? When we're faced with something and it requires reflection, when it requires empathy, like that's what Good Friday is made for. And at times, we need to be able to wait on the Lord. And listen, if you've ever been rushed out of the church because of anything, right? Because of a lifestyle kind of thing, if you've ever been pushed out of the church because the church was incapable of waiting on the Lord, I'm sorry. If you've ever felt like the church was, like a mile wide and an inch deep because the point only ever seemed like it was that we were supposed to be happy and not very thoughtful, I'm sorry for that too. The thing about coronavirus as it pertains to the church is that none of us really know what we're doing right now, right? Which means that we all have to practice some form of patience. We all have to practice some form of reflection. We have to, right? And my hope is that on the other side of all of this, that we aren't afraid to observe a day like Good Friday as it calls us to a humble patience as we wait. And so, on this day, we wait.
And then we get ice cream.
And then we get ice cream. A friend of mine sent me a text message today and it said, hey, happy Good Friday. And we had a funny conversation about it. And then we had to figure out, what's the right way to greet people on Good Friday? Because it's not a good day, right? It's a hard day. It's a day when hope seemingly is snuffed out, right? I think we landed on something okay, it's Good Friday. Stay strong, right? And that's a good message for this coronavirus time as well. We're separated from one another. We're isolated. We're in our own solitude. And just as the disciples felt fractured, we're kind of in a similar place to them. Not exactly the same, but similar. And they did the only thing that they knew to do. They got together and they waited to hear from the Lord. This is a hard time. And there aren't easy answers right now. And I gotta say this too. We're not in the business of trying to make sure that we can develop easy answers for the next one either. What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to learn how to wait on the Lord and to listen to the Lord in uncertain times. So that's it for today. Do me a favor, jump down on the comments section. Let me know how you're doing right. If you're struggling right now, then maybe it's time for a break, right? And then it's time for you to learn a new spiritual discipline, right? That discipline of just the quiet and the solitude. Do me a favor, do all the liking and subscribing stuff, right? What do we do? Do we hit the like button?
No.
What do we do?
Push it hard.
You push it hard. That's right. So do me that favor. Push the subscribe button hard. I love you guys. Everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.